next guest's favorite activities for dates are biking, horseback riding, reading from his book of questions. He admits that while his height can be a problem with a woman, growing a mustache at least helped him look a little older. Please welcome Joseph Andrus. Hi, Joseph. How are you? Good. Have a seat. Well, I guess without a mustache, you would look young. How young would you? I mean, you know yourself.
Well, I looked about 18, maybe 20 at most.
How old are you?
26.
No.
Yeah.
Are you? 26.
26.
Well,
It got to be a problem because every time I went out, got carded all the time.
yeah. Do you usually date women that are your height or shorter or what?
I like to date them a little shorter than I am.
Yeah. And you're what, about 5'5"?
5'5".
5'5".
Because if I find that it can get a little embarrassing if I go out with somebody that's my height.
Yeah.
And then they put on 3-inch heels
Bingo.
on top of that.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Climb every mountain.
I'm looking up at her all night.
Yeah. Well, now, you talk about this book of questions. What exactly is that?
All right, the book of questions has about 200 or so questions in it.
What kind of questions would these be?
They're all different kinds. There are moral questions, egotistical questions, vain questions, things like there's one in there that says, you know, relative to the population at large, how do you rate your own physical attractiveness, personality, and intelligence? And that can tell a lot about someone's ego if they say, you know, I'm the best of everything, you know.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to take a look at the women that Joseph had to choose from. And remember, you're going to pick the woman that you think's best for him. Here we go. First, there's Amy. She grew up with 5 older brothers. She admits that she talks a lot when she's nervous. She laughs a lot when a guy starts his romantic move. Well, that ought to really cool him down. Here's why she thinks men get away with being overweight easier than women.
Men can hide it a lot easier. If they have a belly, they pull out their shirt and they hang it over, and I don't usually see. And by that time, you know them well enough. If you like them, then it's not going to really matter. I mean, people that I've dated have been overweight. It doesn't bother me. Unless they start to get really huge.
Next, there's Marla. She thinks that her most attractive feature are her fingernails and her hair, as long as humid weather doesn't frizz it up. She always gets suspicious when a man decides to detour to his place at the end of a date. And here's a date that she would have liked to detour entirely.
Went miniature golfing, and if he'd missed the shot, he would throw the club down and jump up and down and shake his fist and scream and yell. Like, you know, like he was, I think he meant it kidding and trying to be funny, but he looked like an idiot. Everybody was staring at him. Not with those guys. Not with me.
Okay, finally, Dorette. She refuses to date men who are too tall, too rude, or too stupid. She describes herself as short and sweet, but she admits that she's also pushy and gullible. Here's how she and her girlfriends introduce themselves to a group of guys.
We say, "Hi, have you had all your hugs today?" And then we say, and then they usually say, yeah or no, and then say, well, then we give them a nice big hug, and then we say, and here's your hug license. Now you're licensed to hug, and there's a prescription on the back, and it's signed by Dr. Feelbetter.
All right, those are the 3 women that Joseph had to choose from. Time for you to vote. Who do you think would be the best lady for him? Going to take a break. When we come back, we'll meet the woman that Joseph picked, hear everything that happened on their date. We'll do that in 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Be right back, guys. All right, we're back. Joseph's going to tell us who he selected.
I picked Amy.
Amy. Haven't seen each other since their date. We always hear both sides. Say hello to Amy Zimmerman. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Chuck.
How are you?
Great.
Yeah, just make yourself at home back there,
Okay.
and we'll get on with it. Here we go. Tell me about the date.
Well, I called her from work, and we agreed to meet for brunch.
Right.
So we didn't talk too much because I was calling from work. So we met for brunch, and I got there about 10 minutes early. I always get everywhere early.
Yeah. Well,
But,
you're anxious to get
yeah.
there, I guess.
And I waited. I knew Amy the minute I saw her walk up.
Did you?
She looked exactly like she did in the video.
Uh-huh. And what'd you think?
I was impressed. She looked nice. You know, she looked better than she did in the video.
Good. Now, you see Joseph? What are you thinking?
Well, I hate to say this, but he walked up in faded blue jeans, a shirt that was completely wrinkled, and old tennis shoes.
Oh, really?
Oh! You asked me.
No, I did. You're right. Well, how come you? So you didn't really dress up too much to meet for
No,
brunch?
but I wouldn't have called her dressed up either. She was wearing a T-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, nice T-shirt and shorts.
Okay.
So now what happens?
Well, we were seated, and we started talking about family, and brothers and sisters and siblings, and how cruel they can be to each other when they're growing up.
Right.
Practical jokes that they play on each other. She said
Like what, for instance?
Well, like she said, she had 5 brothers, and that they played a trick on her one time. They tied her to a chair, and then left her there for an hour.
It's true.
I feel like we're doing current affair here all of a sudden. Well, now, so did you get into his past? I mean, anybody tie him to a chair while he was growing up or anything?
Well, we talked about his old girlfriend from like 4 or 5 years ago, but that was about it. It was kind of a boring conversation.
Was it? So it's kind of going slow.
Yeah.
Well, now what happens?
Well, after brunch, she said she had to leave for home in like an hour and a half after brunch. So we were standing around trying to figure out what to do for an hour and a half. Finally, she...
Did he come up with any suggestions at all?
We stood in this parking lot for 10 minutes with nothing to say to each other. And we're just like, it was a really foggy day. And the only sunlight was right there in the parking lot. So we just joked and said, well, we'll just stand here all day and talk about it on Love Connection.
There's a Buick.
I don't like the color, Chuck.
Yeah, well, now what do you do after the parking lot?
Well, finally, Amy suggested that we drive over to the marina.
To the marina. That's a good idea.
It was about 5 minutes away, so we got in my car and we drove over there.
Yeah.
Sat there and we had a drink, sat out on the table, watched the boats come in and out, and looked at the water and talked about stuff.
Sounds pleasant enough.
Yeah.
What'd you talk about?
Oh, we talked about all kinds of things. We pulled out that book of questions.
Yeah, he had his
mentioned
book of questions with him. Those some whoppers.
Did that make you uncomfortable, or were you just as soon as he left the book of questions at home?
The book of questions should have been left at home.
Yeah.
No, you should have heard some of these questions. These questions were really tasteless.
Oh, really? Well, like what, for instance? Anything you say on
like
the air?
if someone offered you $10,000 to have explicit sex with them all night, would you? No, would I? No, sorry. I didn't even...
Are you serious? That's the kind of questions that are in this book?
That's one of the questions.
Probably not.
That's one of them that I got
Probably
asked.
not a good idea to spring those kind of questions on a first date, Joseph. Well, now, what happened after this?
After that, she looked at her watch and said, I have to head home because I have a sorority meeting or something.
So did you get to the sorority meeting on time, Amy?
No, I didn't. I just wanted to get home.
I had enough, I guess. The way things are going, how come you didn't bail out a little earlier if you were that,
Well, during brunch, I had called my roommate and asked her what she thought I should do because he's a nice guy, but we had nothing in common.
Right, that
and
happens.
she told me just to stick it out and keep going, and I did.
Yeah. Well, that happens.
And I got the book of
sometimes.
questions.
Book of questions. Well, let's take a look and see what the audience picked for you. Sometimes they know, and sometimes they don't, but you never can tell. They thought Dorette was good. 50% chose her. If you'd like to take our audience advice about Dorette, you'll pay for it. If not, you're on your own. You can do what you like.
No, I'll go out with Dora.
Go out with Dorette? Okay, sure. And Amy, sorry things didn't work out
Oh,
for
it's
you.
okay. It's fine with me.
Well, maybe we'll see you again under better circumstances.
Okay, great. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. And good luck with your date with Dorette. Now, let me ask you a question. Be absolutely honest with me. Are you going to take the book of questions with you on your date? Tell the truth. Are you going to do it?
I haven't decided yet.
No, come on. You know you're... Are you going to do it?
No.
Don't take it.
No.
Don't take it. No matter how bad things go. Commit a few of them to memory, maybe. Okay. We're going to come back with our next guest in just a minute. Stay with us.